The story of Rome's decline is often told through tales of barbarian invasions, internal strife, or moral decay. But beneath the surface of those grand narratives lies a different, perhaps more fundamental truth. Rome, the mighty empire, wasn't just invaded or divided. It was, in a profound and deeply damaging way, financially crushed. It was a slow, insidious process where the very foundation of trust in its economic system eroded, piece by painful piece. Imagine the vastness of the Roman Empire in the 3rd and 4th centuries of our common era. Its borders stretched for thousands of miles, requiring immense armies to defend against external threats. Its cities were bustling centers of trade, connected by an intricate network of roads and sea lanes. Maintaining this colossal enterprise, from paying legions to funding public works and supporting a vast bureaucracy, demanded an equally colossal amount of money. Initially, Rome's currency, particularly its silver denarius, was a symbol of its stability and power, known for its consistent precious metal content. But the constant demands of empire, especially incessant warfare and lavish spending by emperors, began to put an unbearable strain on the imperial treasury. The problem started subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. An emperor needed more money than he had in the vaults, and raising taxes was unpopular or impractical. A tempting solution presented itself: make more coins. Not by discovering new silver mines, but by reducing the amount of precious metal in each coin. If a silver coin previously contained 90% silver, an emperor might order new coins to contain 80%, then 70%, then even less. This process, known as debasement, allowed the mint to stretch its limited supply of silver into a larger number of coins. For a time, people continued to use these new, slightly less valuable coins, largely unaware of the change. But the truth, as it always does, slowly emerged. As debasement accelerated through the 3rd century, particularly during periods of intense civil war and numerous short-lived emperors, the silver content of the denarius plummeted dramatically. What had once been a respectable silver coin eventually became a thin silver wash over a copper core, then barely distinguishable from a bronze token. This rapid and continuous reduction in the intrinsic value of the currency shattered public trust. People began to realize that the coins in their hands were worth less and less with each passing year, sometimes each passing month. Why would you accept a handful of coins today if you knew they would buy significantly less tomorrow? This breakdown of trust in the very medium of exchange was deeply destabilizing. The economic consequences were swift and severe. With more and more debased coins flooding the market, their purchasing power eroded at an alarming rate, a phenomenon we now call inflation. Prices for everyday goods and services soared. A soldier's pay, once enough to provide for his family, quickly became insufficient. A farmer who brought his grain to market found that the few coins he received could barely buy him simple tools or supplies. Merchants, unwilling to be paid in virtually worthless currency, began to hoard actual goods or demanded payment in older, purer coins, or even resorted to direct exchange bartering. The sophisticated market economy that had thrived across the empire started to fragment, retreating into simpler, localized systems of trade where goods were exchanged for other goods, rather than for unreliable currency. The human impact of this financial decay was profound. Imagine the anxiety of waking up each day to find that the money you worked hard for was losing its value. Savings accumulated over a lifetime could vanish in a few years. Families struggled to afford basic necessities as prices rose beyond their reach. Soldiers, crucial to the empire's survival, felt cheated and demoralized, leading to mutinies and instability within the legions. Cities, once vibrant hubs of commerce, saw their markets empty and their populations dwindle as people moved to rural estates, seeking self-sufficiency and escaping the chaos of a broken economy. It wasn't about sudden violence or dramatic invasions for many. It was the quiet, gnawing despair of economic uncertainty, the feeling that the ground beneath one's feet was constantly shifting. By the late 3rd and early 4th centuries, the situation reached a critical breaking point. Emperor Diocletian, facing an empire crippled by hyperinflation, attempted drastic measures. He issued the famous edict on maximum prices in 301 AD, trying to fix the prices of thousands of goods and services, and even the wages for laborers, across the entire empire. The intention was to halt the runaway inflation and restore order. But with the underlying problem of debased currency unresolved, the edict failed. It only led to widespread shortages, as merchants refused to sell goods at prices below their actual cost, preferring to hoard them or sell them on black markets. This failure highlighted just how deeply the trust in the imperial financial system had been broken. The state could no longer effectively manage its economy through its currency. It had to resort to demanding taxes in kind, in grain, oil, or labor, acknowledging that its own money was no longer a reliable measure of value. The story of Rome's financial decline serves as a powerful reminder of the delicate yet fundamental role that trust plays in any society, particularly in its economic life. Money, at its core, is a promise. It's a collective agreement that a piece of metal or paper holds a certain value, enabling us to trade, save, and plan for the future. When that promise is consistently broken, when the integrity of that agreement is compromised, the intricate web of commerce and social order begins to unravel. The Roman experience demonstrates that even the mightiest empires, with their formidable armies and sophisticated governance, are deeply reliant on the stability and trustworthiness of their financial systems. A society where its citizens lose faith in the value of their currency, where the means of exchange becomes unreliable, is a society that finds its very foundations weakened, paving a difficult path towards instability and decline.